Let's Be Wizards is a strategy card game for 2 to 4 players, and it's a game that I've been working on for a really long time, so long that I've pretty much lost track now. And I thought it would be a fun idea to port the game over into VR chat, and kind of do a simultaneous release over in VR chat as well as in the real world. So this card game is actually available on GameCrafter. I'll leave a link for it in the description. But this, I wanted to make a world where you could play it in VR chat as well, just to kind of be like, oh, if you guys wanted to play it for free, you could hop on there or something and get kind of somewhat of a feel of it. However, there's certain changes that had to be made for it to work properly in VR chat. But the world itself was very interesting to me because I ran into a couple of issues. One of the biggest ones being that the cards just seem to just stretch out to infinity whenever I spawn them in. Give me the card, give me the card, give me the cards I'm looking for. Alright, let's see if this fixed it. Oh la la. What the fuck is wrong with you, boy? What the fuck is wrong with you? Why? What the hell? What the hell happened? Why is it doing that? Oh, that's freaking wacky. I could stretch it way out. That is very strange. I don't have the slightest clue of what is wrong with this at all. I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know where to begin. What the hell have I done? What's up here? What the hell? I didn't even pick it up this time. What the hell are you doing? What the fuck? I didn't even pick it up. It just started doing it on its own. And this was a bit of a challenge to try to figure out. I actually ended up just ending my stream there because I ended up I made a fair portion of this game on stream. You guys should check out the streams because I like to make the VR chat worlds for streams and stuff like that. There was all kinds of different challenges like that. I ended up like basically kind of replicating some of the stuff that I did for Greed of the Dragon, but for some reason, I guess in a newer version of Unity, which is what I was building this in, or the newer version of the VR chat SDK, something, I don't know what it was, but something about it made certain things not work the same, so I had to adjust some stuff and find my own workarounds. But the main issue that I had, like I said, was the stretching. I ended up fixing it by doing the most complicated, long way to do it. It probably will ultimately benefit me in the future, but for this project, it just seemed to be a really long pain. Basically, what the issue seemed to be, based on what I was reading on online and stuff like that, is that the reason why I was stretching was because the objects that I was calling to that were in my object pool were children of an object that were a completely different size. So like the parent was like larger than the children, and so for some reason when I summon the children, it just makes them stretch out to infinity. That's a weird sentence, but that's essentially what the lowdown was on that, what I was able to gather from it. So what I read basically was that if I went to the parent of the children, and then reset its size to 111 or like 000, whatever, and then try it after that, it should fix it. I just decided that I was just gonna just make a new model for these instead, because this way I can have the model be the exact size I want and I shouldn't run into any issues. And I was right, except also not. When I did that and ported it into Unity, the textures were flipped for some reason, so I ended up struggling with that for about 30 minutes to maybe an hour, just trying to figure out why the texture was being flipped. Then I ended up figuring it out, and obviously that was a good enough fix because it actually, whenever I spawn them in, it works just fine. So that was a bit of a long thing because I ended up having to make a model, and then I had to make a model of basically every single card in the game, and there's 100 cards in this game, so it took a while to do that. But the game itself is super simple. You're basically going to roll these 2 dice, and then that's going to determine what cards you're actually able to play in your hand. You start with 4 in your hand, of course, and whenever you play a card, you reveal it to everyone, do the actions on it, and then stuff it back in your hand unless otherwise stated on the card. For example, the volcano, that is not my science fair project, I swear, is something that would actually stay in play and not go back into your hand. Creatures like Chorb, for example, would also stay out in the field and not go back to your hand after you play them. So there's a couple things like that. And then, of course, the main goal is to destroy all of your opponent's cards, burn them, and make sure that you're the only one left with the power to make spells and stuff. It's a fun premise, and that's essentially the story is that you found yourself in an old dusty library basement type deal, and you decided to play wizards with your friends, and you realize that, hey, wait a minute, I actually am kind of a wizard or something, because these spells are actually working. That's kind of wacky, and so you fight over it. But anyway, the project itself is finally completed, so you guys should be able to access this on VR chat. If for some reason you can't, then let me know in the comments below or something. But it is Let's Be Wizards. That's the name of the world. That's also the name of the game and stuff. It should support many more players than just a few. If you spawn in every single card in the game, which is possible, I guess, when you're actually playing the game, it might lag a little bit, but in my testing it didn't seem to lag so much that it was unplayable, even on my Quest 2, so keep that in mind. Another thing too is that I did have to take out some of the cards from the VR chat version. For example, stuff like Water Tango, Replacing Go, which hand is it in? These cards have to deal with actually like messing with your deck. Some of them will put stuff at the bottom of your deck, or some of them will have you return cards back to the deck and that kind of thing. And that doesn't quite work in VR chat, or at least in this version that I've built here, this world that I've built here. It doesn't quite work because I didn't have any system to actually put cards back, and also no one gets their own spellbook or their deck or whatever. Everyone's kind of technically sharing the same deck, so I had to remove cards that dealt with shuffling things into your deck because, for one, we can't shuffle. Two, it just is what it is. I guess technically it is shuffling, because even if I did return a card, it would just shuffle it randomly somewhere in the pool, because every single time you click the deck to draw a card, it's going to be random out of that pool. It's not any particular order. It's random every time. If you are coming into issues, if you did spawn every single card just for funsies, or someone's messing with you or something like that, there is a big reset button as well, so you could go over to the reset button and click it, and it will reset every single card. It will throw them back into the pool, and it should clear up any kind of lag that is spawning in. I had to make a handful of new models for this world as well. I made this big open spellbook where you kind of put your cards at and stuff like that. And I also had to make this scroll just because it's supposed to be an old wizardy kind of library type deal. So I figured I'd make a scroll model, and I threw that in there, and you can pick up a handful of them. I decided to make Chorb as well, which is one of the cards, one of the creatures. I decided to make a model of that and throw it up on a shelf. I made some candles too. I made a lot of new models just for this specific world, which was a lot of fun. But it took a while. Several hours went into this project, and it is, like I said, should be complete and available now. Yeah, hopefully at some point we can maybe figure out more about how to do card game type stuff in VR chat or something like that, and maybe eventually I can make a better version of this where everyone has their own spellbook, and I can actually adjust exactly where I put cards at in my spellbook and all that kind of stuff, so that when I'm putting things in there, I can put it at the top or at the bottom of the deck or something. That could be cool. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to say. One more reminder that this game is technically available on VR chat and physically in the real world. So if you guys want a copy of this game physically, you can get it on GameCrafter. Link for it is in the description, but it's called Let's Be Wizards if you guys wanted to search it up that way. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little quick brief on making this world and everything like that. If you did, please do consider liking, subscribing, and sharing, because it greatly helps out the channel a ton and is a great motivator to make more worlds like this. Another thing too, if you guys want to see any kind of specific VR chat world or something like that, some kind of VR chat project that you guys want me to start on, then let me know in the comments below, because I'd love to start out on some kind of project that you guys suggest. So yeah, get to suggestion, do all those other things, because it greatly helps out the channel a ton. And remember, most importantly, to stay asleep.